Well, I want to say thank you for taking the time to watch through these reports, both for myself and Pastor Victor and Pastor Lori. And 2023 marks a season of transition here at our church as we step into a new season of renewal. We are incredibly excited for what the future has in store. And while there's always a calm before the storm, we just have huge expectation what God's about to do through our church family. I do want to make one special note of appreciation to you, our church family. Myself and Michaela and Isla, we are stepping into this role, into this position for the very first time. And as a church, you have been incredibly gracious and kind towards us as we have learned to keep pace and to catch up to the responsibility and the role and the task ahead. And so we, again, just wanted to express our gratitude for such an incredible church family as yourselves and how you've cared for us, how you've been patient with us, and how your love and support has been felt every single week that we get together. And so again, we just wanted to express our thanks. As I started in August, I had one kind of clear message from the Lord, which was to prepare the house. It's still my mantra at the moment. It feels like we're making many preparations as we are a growing church. We are a thriving church, but our vision and our focus is to be a home for everybody to grow in faith, community, and the purposes of God. And we believe and trust, and we know that God will do it as we prepare to receive and to steward well the growth that God has in store for us for our church. And so for my report, I just want to highlight a few portions here down below of some of the areas we've made some improvements and some different ways that we've prepared the house for the growth and the new life that I believe that God wants to bring to our church. One of the changes you may have noticed in our church since August is that we've made some significant changes to our Sunday morning structure. And those are for two significant reasons. First, I firmly believe and hope that every single Sunday would be someone's very first Sunday, and not just their first time in a church building or even at our church, but their first time knowing and experiencing the truth of the gospel for themselves. And so that has informed a lot of our decision making and informed a lot of our philosophy of how we put together a Sunday morning service. Secondly, not only do we hope that it's someone's first time, we want to be known for more than just hosting great services, but hosting the presence of God. Of course, while we anticipate and plan for new people to be here, we still want to come in the fullness of the Spirit, that when we come to worship, that we welcome and we host the presence of God, that when we come in prayer, we come in prayer that has power, and when we come to the altar, we come with expectation. And so we've made some tweaks to our Sunday morning service to kind of help balance these two goals. A, that we would be welcoming to someone's first time experience in church, but secondly, that we would be still the fullness of the church body, that when people come, they can expect to experience the presence of God each and every single Sunday. One of the changes we've made to help facilitate both of these tensions is we've aimed to have a 75-minute service time. This is for two reasons. One, we hope and trust that if someone joins us for a Sunday, we leave them wanting a little bit more, that they come and they've had a great experience, they've had a great time in church, but they are ready for the next week. We want to be honoring of people's time, especially for the first time. Secondly, we are excited to have a thriving and growing kids program. God's blessed our church with several young families, and those young families are being served every week by our incredible kids ministry team. And a more consistent service time that runs for about an hour and 15 minutes helps them to plan and to execute kids ministry with excellence. And so it has been vital and will continue to be vital for us as we continue to minister to more and more families on a Sunday morning. Now, secondly, you may have noticed that we have added a coffee break in the middle of our service. You've heard me say it before, but just in case you haven't, my heart is that if you ever join us on a Sunday, whether you came in a little late or you're leaving a little early, someone always would welcome you here with open arms. It's important that we cultivate not just a service, but a community of believers. And I would love to see that happening on Sunday as our primary time that we get together. And so we've set aside that time, A, to give us a bit of a break in the service, for parents to make their way down the hall with their kids, but most importantly, that you would connect with somebody, you would welcome somebody, and we've seen great growth and reception to that change as well, which we're very excited about. There have been some exciting developments in our worship and our production teams as well. I do want to give a shout out and express my thanks to both Stephanie and Keenan Laird, who have stepped in to run with our production and worship ministry team. I challenge our worship team with the thought that when someone comes to church for the first time, our worship team is the first spiritual experience someone might have ever had in their life, is coming to be a part of a church service, and they are introduced to the gospel by how we worship and how we host the presence of God. And so we've been excited to welcome many new people onto our worship team over the last little while. We've tried to raise the bar technically just a touch with the introduction of a click track, and I have found that our band has more than risen to the occasion. They serve well spiritually, they serve well musically, and most of all, they serve with excellence in all that they do. Our production team is just taking off. Keenan has been instrumental in helping us diversify that portfolio to bring more people onto the team. We're excited to have a plethora of new people getting involved in the production side, from cameramen to soundmen to CG to switchers in the back, maybe people that you don't even notice and recognize on a Sunday, who are all doing their best to make both in-person and online a success every week. In fall of 2023, we also launched our brand new church website. Now, we had a bit of a technical fail with our last website, and so its introduction had to happen hastily, but we've continued to grow and flesh out all of its functionality as it best serves our church family. Year to date, up until now, we're excited to have welcomed almost 2,000 unique visitors to our church website, which is to say it's indicative of people searching for something. And so we want to make sure that our online presence is accessible, that it has all the relevant information, and that it really communicates the heart of our church and what they can expect when they come on a Sunday morning. So we're really excited to launch our new website with our new URL, stowville.church. It's just the beginning of what's to come as we branch out that way. We've also been tending to our social media, Facebook and Instagram accounts. Our heart in these things is that as we generate engagement and a bit of an audience on these platforms, they're more than just numbers, but they're representative of a person on the other side of that device. And that person is someone that Jesus wants to know. And we think that they should come to know Jesus. And so we've been excited just with some small experiments in our social media and how we've been able to grow our impact and our reach locally, especially. On Facebook alone, we've been able to increase our reach to almost 2,000 people in the last few months. And Instagram, our engagement is up by over 400%. Again, these are all just facts and figures, but what's really important to us is that every number, every content engagement, every audience member that we reach out to is a person on the other side of that device. And so we have two hopes in all of these areas: that they would be a tool for people to discover and engage with the truth of Jesus Christ. And so we're excited for what's happening. It's kind of an area of new growth for our church and a new engagement. And truthfully, we're seeing new people come to attendance because they've discovered us online. And so we just trust and believe that God will continue to be fruitful in those areas. The other area that I want to make a mention of is our online services. I want to say a special thank you to, again, Keenan, to Jesse Vieira, and to CG Production Co. for their generous donation, time, and investment in our online ministries. In August, we had a bit of a staffing change, and so we really needed people to step in, and they did in a major way, not just to keep the ministry happening, but that it's actually grown over the last few months. We're excited to, since August, have about 5,100 people come to view our services over that time span. That works out to about 160 people every single week who join us online. I know there are many of our church family who maybe they're away or they're traveling and they're viewing, but we're really excited about that number again, because hopefully it translates to people coming to know the truth of who Jesus is and to feel welcomed into our church community. And so just continue to be praying for us in this area. Our primary focus is to make disciples. And sometimes in church life, production can be the tail wagging the dog. That's very much not our intention. But we just continue to pray into that God would help people to A, discover the truth of Jesus and engage with the truth of the gospel through the continued growth of our online ministries. Again, in August, we transitioned Pastor Stefan out of his role as youth pastor, but we were excited to welcome Pastor Victor Garcia to join us in October as our new junior high pastor and soon to be youth pastor as that role expands. I want to make a special note of appreciation of Pastor Victor. Starting and relaunching something brand new is hard work. It's important work, but it's hard work. And he has served our church with excellence. He's come and he's hit the ground running. He is still a full-time student, and he's just served with excellence in all that he does. Some of the best rapport that we can have from our junior high ministry is that students love to be here. And that's been the resounding message we've had from you. It's a resounding message we've had from students and from parents. And so, continue to support and pray for our youth ministry. We're excited for Pastor Victor relaunching Stouffville Youth, not just for junior highs, but as it grows into a ministry for senior highs. In chatting with him, there are incredible things in store to come, and we're just incredibly blessed that God has given us someone like Pastor Victor to lead the way. It's so important that we have healthy and sustainable leadership, and I am confident that we have one of the best. Another area that we're really excited about is church membership and decisions of faith. There are two metrics that I look for in church health as we move forward. A, that we are reaching people with the truth of the gospel. We're seeing new decisions of faith. It's what we are all about. But secondly, that we see people take that next step from just a regular attender to a church member. It's really an indicator that we are on mission, that people are buying into the future of our church, that they're not just a contributor, but they are generous with their tithes and offering, and that they are joining with us in prayer about the future of our church. And so we're really excited to, in just the last few months, welcome 10 new members to our church. It's just exciting stuff, and we are welcoming all the new people who have joined us in the last few months who have chosen to make SBC their church home. Again, this is a home for everybody to grow in faith, community, and purpose. And so we're just excited for how God's using us as we've aimed to make that our goal. I want to take a minute and make a special note of appreciation to Pastor Dean and Wendy Skinner. Pastor Dean and Wendy came to join us in November 2022 as our church went through a season of transition for more than half of the 2023 year. If there's one thing I am the most thankful for, it was the care and excellence by which Pastor Dean and Wendy came and they served our church family. Times of transition, they can feel aimless. They can feel unsure. It can feel like, where is the church going and what are we doing? And yet, I'm incredibly thankful to Pastor Dean and Wendy that they came, they took this church under their arms, they loved, they cared, and they served well as the process rolled out as we step into the future. I want to say again, just a special thank you for how well you served our church. I know it was just under a year that you were here, but your impact and your care will be felt for many years to come. And you are more than just our transitional pastors. You've now become church family. And so I just wanted to take a minute to say thank you for how well you've served our church. We are very much learning as we go, and yet our hope, our prayer, and our focus for the future is that God would continue to see our church grow. Our mandate to be a home for everybody to grow in faith, community, and purpose is because we want to be not just a present church, but an effective church. We want to be a church that is making new disciples. We want to be a church that is growing the disciples who call this church home. And more than all of those things, we want to be setting people on mission for the purposes of God. We can be a fun church, we can be a life-giving church, we can be an exciting church, and those are all great things. But more than all those things, it should be in our hearts to be an effective church, a church that is making a difference in making disciples and in bringing the kingdom of God to our community. As we move forward, two areas of focus that are going to get our attention this year is in overlooking our kids ministry. I want to make sure that we are serving families to the best of our ability, that when a family comes, that they're not just cared for on our Sunday service, they're cared for in our junior high, in our youth, and especially in our kids. The majority of disciples today made a decision of faith when they were children. And so kids ministry is near and dear to our heart as a church, that we want to be creating disciples from the very early stages of life. Secondly, is we're going to be taking a look at our small group area with envisioning to kind of relaunch or reimagine this fall. We want to make sure that when you come to be a part of our church family, you do have a great Sunday experience, but you find a community of believers to grow alongside with. And that means having a nurturing environment where we're having important discussions about our growth, important discussions about Scripture, and that we begin to walk from more than just curiosity about Jesus, but a confidence in how we follow him. And so we think that small groups are an incredible opportunity to do that alongside other believers who are headed in the same direction. We are so thankful that you are a part of our church family. And I know these reports, my report especially, was maybe a little bit long, but it's because we have so much to be thankful for. And God's blessed us in so many incredible ways. But if I could ask of anything, would you please, please, please commit our church to prayer? We are making, it feels like many decisions a mile a minute, but it's because God's using us and he's blessing us. And by his Spirit, he is the one growing us. We are just stewards and we're just trying to be faithful. But would you pray for wisdom? Would you pray for endurance? And would you be praying that above all, our church fosters a reputation for being a place where God is moving more than any service might be or any program might be? Would we be known that we house the presence of God and that God is doing something amazing here? And would he turn that to be for the benefit of our community? We want to say thank you for taking time to listen to this report. We have so much to be thankful for, and we have so much to look forward to in the future. And we really believe the best is yet to come in so many ways. Please be praying with us, and I humbly submit my report.